Okay, let me go through links real quick before we get to the next thing. Fine. Once again, pointing out, from Counterpoints, or Connor, once again pointing out that a healthy chunk of our leaders use inside information to become multimillionaires, which disincentivizes them from taking a servant leader mindset. Congress should have to put their assets in a blind trust when they take office. Yeah, I'm sorry, but Trump and Elon completely obliterate me ever giving a fuck about anybody saying this ever, about anything ever. But Nancy Pelosi sold 1.3 million of NVIDIA stock last month. NVIDIA has fallen 17% today. What? Why are we reaching so hard for this? Yeah, why didn't Pelosi send me an email? Pelosi, I will say, Pelosi, not as much Pelosi, although Pelosi did let us down. Soros, okay? Soros really let us down. You should listen to the Tucker episode. He knows about Navalny and says that he thinks Ukraine killed him in the Russian prison. Wait, what? I don't have time to dive into all this shit right now.
He was also
$20.07.
So I just wanted to get to that because I'm coming at this from not a global perspective. I'm coming at it from an American perspective.
So you mentioned Navalny.
Mm-hmm.
After you left, Navalny died in prison.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on, just at a high level first, about his death?
It's awful. I mean, imagine dying in prison. You know, I thought about it a lot. I've known a lot of people in prison, a lot, including some very good friends of mine. So I felt instantly sad about it. From a geopolitical perspective, I don't know any more than that. And I laugh at and sort of resent, but mostly find amusing, the claims by American politicians, who really are the dumbest politicians in the world, actually. You know, this happened, and here's what it means. And it's like, actually, as a factual matter, we don't know what happened. We don't know what happened. We have no freaking idea what happened. We can say, and I did say, and I will say again, I don't think you should put opposition figures in prison. I really don't. I don't. Period. It happens a lot around the world. It happens in this country, as you know, and I'm against all of it.
He's referring to what? The J6ers or Trump? The law? Jesus, kill me, bro.
But do we know how he died? The short answer, no, we don't. Now, if I had to guess, I would say killing Navalny during the Munich Security Conference in the middle of a debate over $60 billion in Ukraine funding. Maybe the Russians are dumb. I didn't get that vibe at all. You know, I don't see it. But maybe they killed him. I mean, they certainly put him in prison, which I'm against. But here's what I do know is that we don't know. And so when Chuck Schumer stands up and Joe Biden reads some card in front of him with lines about Navalny, it's like, I'm allowed to laugh at that because it's absurd. You don't know.
There's a lot of interesting ideas about if he was killed, who killed him. Yeah. Because it could be Putin. It could be somebody in Russia who's not Putin.
Yeah.
It could be Ukrainians because it would benefit the war.
They killed Dugin's daughter in Moscow. So yeah, it's possible.
And it could be, I mean, the United States could also be involved.
I don't think we kill people in other countries to affect election outcomes. Oh, wait.
I like how, Jesus, sorry. Wait, what? Who's, I like how, well, they killed Dugin's daughter. I think they were aiming for Dugin, by the way. So if they killed one person, they could literally kill any person. Like, my grandma, I can't do a Russian accent. My grandma has cancer and she died yesterday. And I think the Ukrainians, killed her. And it's like, well, how do you know? It's like, well, I mean, they killed Dugin's daughter, right? Oh, fuck me. That's true. They did kill Dugin's daughter. So I guess they could literally kill anybody at any point in time, always. That makes sense.
No, we do it a lot and have for 80 years, and it's shameful. I can say that as an American because it's my money in my name. Yeah, I'm really offended by that. And I never thought that was true. And I spent, again, I'm much older than you. And so I spent my worldview was defined by the Cold War. And very much in the house I lived in Georgetown, Washington, D.C., that's what we talked about. And yeah, and the left at the time, I don't know, the wacko MIT professor who I never had any respect for, I know you've interviewed, et cetera. Like the hard left was always saying, well, the United States government is interfering in other elections. And I just dismissed that completely out of hand as stupid and actually a slander against my country. But it turned out to all be true, or substantially true anyway. And that's been a real shock for me in middle age to understand that. But anyway, as to Navalny, look, I don't know.
Did you take your middle age to read anything about the Cold War? Why do all these South American countries look at America sideways? I never realized. I thought they maybe just hated white people. Okay.
But we should always proceed on the basis of what we do know, which is to say on the basis of truth, noble truth. And if you have an entire policymaking apparatus that is making the biggest decisions on the face of the planet on the basis of things that are bullshit or lies, you're going to get bad outcomes every time. And that's why we are where we are.
Does it bother you that basically the most famous opposition figure in Russia is sitting in prison?
Well, of course it does. Of course it bothers me. I mean, it bothered me when I got there. It bothers me now. I was sad when he died. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the measures of, it's one of the basic measures of political freedom. Are you imprisoning people who oppose you? Are you imprisoning people who pose a physical risk to you? I mean, there's some subjective decision-making involved in these things. However, big picture, yeah. Do you have opposition leaders in jail? It's not a politically free society, and Russia isn't, obviously. And as I said, a friend of mine from childhood, an American, actually, who's a wonderful person, lives in Russia with Moscow with his Russian wife. And I had dinner with him. He's a very balanced guy, totally non-political person. And speaks Russian and loves his many Russian children and loves the culture. And there's a lot to love. The culture that produced Tolstoy. You know, it's not a gas station with nuclear weapons, sorry. Only a moron would say that. It's a very deep culture. I don't fully understand it, of course, but I admire it. Who wouldn't? But I asked him, like, what's it like living here? He goes, you know, it's great. Moscow is a great city, indisputably. He said, you don't want to get involved in Russian politics. And I said, what? He said, well, you could get hurt. You could wind up like Navalny if you did. But also it's just too complicated. You know, the Russian mind is not exactly this. It's a Western, it's a European city. It's not quite European. And the way they think is very, very complex. Very complex. It's too complicated. Just don't get involved. And I would just say two things. One, I'm not sure. I mean, like, I don't know. But my strong sense is that Navalny's death, whoever did it, probably didn't have a lot to do with the coming election in Russia. My sense from talking to Putin and the people around him is they're not really focused on that. I mean, in fact, I asked one of his top advisors, when's the election? And she looked at me completely confused. She didn't know the date of the election. Okay. She's like, March? Okay. And I asked a bunch of other people just in Moscow, who's Putin running against? Like, nobody knew. So it's not a real election, right? In the sense that we would recognize at all. Second, I was really struck by so many things in Moscow and really deeply bothered by a lot of things that I saw there. But one thing I noticed was the total absence of cult of personality.
Oh, shit. Oh, never mind.
Propaganda, which I expected to see and have seen around the world. Jordan, for example. I don't know if you've been to.
I thought he was going to say total absence of wokeness, so good thing I didn't make a prediction.
Jordan, but go to Jordan. In every building, there are pictures of the king and his extended family, and that's a sign of political insecurity. You know, you don't create a cult of personality unless you're personally insecure, and also unless you're worried about losing your grip on power. None of that.
Wait, does he apply this to Trump at all?
Interesting. I expected to see a lot of it. You know, like statues of Putin. No, there are no statues of anybody other than like Christian saints. So that was like, I'm not quite sure. I'm just reporting what I saw. So yes, it's not in a political sense, it's not a free country. It's not a democracy in the way that we would understand it, or I don't want to live there. Okay, because I like to say what I think. In fact, I make my living doing it. But it's not Stalinist in a recognizable way. And anyone who says it is should go there and tell me how.
I mean, this question about the freedom of the press is underlying the very fact of the interview you're having with him.
Right.
So you might not need to ask the Navalny question, but did you feel like, are there things I shouldn't say?
I mean, how honest do you want me to be? I mean it when I say I felt not one twinge of concern for the 8 days that I was there. Maybe I just didn't. And I feel like I've got a pretty strong gut sense of things. I rely on it. I make all my decisions based on how I feel, my instincts, and I didn't feel it at all. My lawyers before I left, and these are people who work for a big law firm. This is not Bob's law firm. This is one of the biggest law firms in the world. Said, principle either, national security principle either. That's my or you can't trust me. Okay. So I thought, before I go over here, I was getting all this. We're having all these conversations with my producers and I about this, and I decided, I'm just gonna act more better than others for sure. But I mean, in other words, Zelensky may be better than Putin. I'm open to that possibility. But to claim that one is evil and the other is virtuous, it's like you're revealing that you're a child. You don't know anything about how the world actually is or what reality is. Like it's
That's quite a realist perspective, but there's a spectrum.
There's a spectrum. Absolutely. I'm not saying they're all the same. They're not.
And our task is to figure out where on the spectrum they lie. And the leader's task is to confuse us and convince us they're one of the good guys.
Of course. But I actually reject even that formulation. I don't think it's always about the leaders. I mean, of course, the leaders make the difference. A good leader has a healthy country and a bad leader has a decaying country, which is something to think about. But it's about the ideas and the policies and the practical effect of things. So we're very much caught up in the personalities of various leaders.
Okay, I feel like Lex didn't say here that Navalny got killed by Ukrainians. That was a kind of a backhanded suggestion by Tucker here, but I don't think, unless I'm missing a part here, it doesn't seem like Lex brought that up. But still, fuck Lex. What is this?
Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war, but there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second. Surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the...
Lex was the one who suggested it first. Wait, was it? I thought Tucker was the one who suggested it first. Fuck me.
He was also probably prepared to...
Fuck. What did they say around it? Whatever. It was at the start of this. Sorry, hold on. Let me listen one more time. Just to part of it, so I have that down. Fuck.
So you mentioned Navalny.
Mm-hmm.
After you left, Navalny died in prison.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on, just at a high level first, about his death?
It's awful. I mean, imagine dying in prison. I thought about it a lot. I've known a lot of people in prison, a lot, including some very good friends of mine. So I felt instantly sad about it. From a geopolitical perspective, I don't know any more than that. And I laugh at and sort of resent, but mostly find amusing, the claims by American politicians who really are the dumbest politicians in the world, actually. This happened, and here's what it means. And it's like, actually, as a factual matter, we don't know what happened. We don't know what happened. We have no freaking idea what happened. We can say, and I did say, and I will say again, I don't think you should. Do we know how he died? The short answer, no, we don't. Now, if I had to guess, I would say killing Navalny during the Munich Security Conference in the middle of a debate over $60 billion in Ukraine funding, maybe the Russians are dumb. I didn't get that vibe at all. I don't see it, but maybe they killed him. I mean, they certainly put him in prison, which I'm against. But here's what I do know is that we don't know. And so when Chuck Schumer stands up and,
wait, fuck, was it before this? Because right here, this is Tucker suggesting it first. Or is that not what his implication is here? Hold on.
the debate over $60 billion in Ukraine funding, maybe the Russians are dumb. Only during the Munich Security Conference, in the middle of a debate over $60 billion in Ukraine funding, maybe the Russians are dumb. I didn't get that vibe at all. You know, I don't see it, but maybe they killed him. I mean, they certainly put him in prison, which I'm against. But here's
You guys keep saying, keep listening, keep listening. Thank you, Incinerated Kids. Destiny, they're autistic, you're right. Yes. You guys keep, no. Tucker is suggesting it right here that...
country, as you know, and I'm against all of it. But do we know how he died? The short answer, no, we don't. Now, if I had to guess, I would say killing Navalny.
He's saying maybe Russia killed Navalny, but they would be dumb to do so. No. He's saying, why would Russia kill Navalny here? That would be really against their interests, wouldn't it be? He's saying that backhandedly. He's not suggesting that Russia, he's suggesting that Ukraine killed him. No?
During the Munich Security Conference, in the middle of a debate over $60 billion in Ukraine funding, maybe the Russians are dumb. I didn't get that vibe at all. You know, I don't see it, but maybe they killed him. I mean, they certainly put him in prison, which I'm against.
I feel like Tucker is the one insinuating that Russia wouldn't kill him. They don't have the motive to.
But here's what I do know is that we don't know. And so when Chuck Schumer stands up and Joe Biden reads some card in front of him with lines about Navalny, it's like, I'm allowed to laugh at that because it's absurd. You don't know.
There's a lot of interesting ideas about if he was killed, who killed him. Because it could be Putin. It could be somebody in Russia who's not Putin.
Yep.
It could be Ukrainians because it would benefit the war.
They killed Dugin's daughter in Moscow. So yeah, it's possible.
And it could be, the United States could also be involved.
I don't think we kill people in other countries to affect election outcomes.
So yeah, Lex is a little bit more explicit here, but Tucker is the one who I think flows this idea first, but.
The greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? When Nikita Khrushchev has told his people, he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of the Cold War, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. He believes this because from our side, he's heard voices pleading for peace at any price, or better read than dead, or as one commentator put it, he'd rather live on his knees than die on his feet. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools. And our honored dead, who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis, didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay. There is a point beyond which they must not advance.
Okay. Good for you. Destiny, Tucker didn't say Ukraine, just that it'd be done for Russia. Well, I can't, hold on. Stop. Why are you guys being so autistic?
He was also probably...
Was the sentence structure too difficult to follow? I don't understand. Hold on.
Dumb. For Navalny during the, if I had to guess, I would say killing Navalny during the Munich Security Conference in the middle of a debate over $60 billion in Ukraine funding.
So the implication here is there's a conference where they're having an argument over whether or not Ukraine is getting $60 billion, right? So killing Navalny here helps Ukraine. That's the implication. Russia definitely wouldn't kill Navalny here because it makes them look bad, which probably weakens the argument against giving Ukraine money. So killing Navalny here helps Ukraine. That's the implication that Tucker Carlson is making here. I can't, this is very obvious, no? What do we... I guess you could say maybe it's the U.S. as well, but I think that okay, hold on. Getting through more links.
They turned off the cameras, excuse my language, and then they took my wife.
This man who wished not to be identified says his wife.
Well, I mean, then why not blur his face or mask his voice?
Took my wife.
This man who wished not to be
This man who wishes not to be identified? You mean this guy?
Identified says his wife is from Venezuela.
Oh, the guy who you have literally on camera twice, on the screen twice. Okay.
And has lived in the United States for a few years. She was one of 3 people taken from this home. I'm told the 2 others were men who worked in construction. You see them here. This video, only a minute and 52 seconds long, we do not see his wife being removed from the home. But this is a picture of her that he keeps in his wallet. Her name is Vianis Ramirez, and he says she was in the process of becoming a United States citizen.
She already had a court date. She was good. Everything good. He just came in and snatched her.
These are pictures from the Department of Homeland Security detaining other undocumented men and women in Broward County.
Why do all veterans vote Trump? Why do almost all veterans vote GOP? There's a problem with the Democratic messaging. I just think, especially around the war in Iraq, like Republicans were just like, they were kind of like the hawkish party, and Democrats were kind of like the dovish party, even going back to like the days of like Carter and shit. I think Republicans have just always been seen as more like, we support the military and the troops. And I think that's why they tend to lean more conservative. I think this one.
It's despicable what they're doing right now. It's very embarrassing.
President Donald Trump arrived at his Trump National Golf Resort in Doral Saturday, set to host GOP leaders for a conference. This man hopes this message makes it to him.
I get a chance to talk to you, man. Yo, please, man, let's work something out. So, you, man, let me keep my wife here. And you know what I'm saying, man? She deserves to be here, man.
ICE reports nearly 1,000 raids in the country on Sunday alone, which is up from just under 300 on Saturday. Here at the detention center in Miramar, things have been quiet for several hours, but we will continue to monitor this situation and bring you the developing news on raids in South Florida as they happen. In Miramar, I'm Chelsea.
Shut the fuck up. That's not real. Have you heard that the president of Mexico is going to buy the Gulf of America and rename it to the Sí, Señor? More posts from feds. Oh, an executive order protecting children from chemical and surgical mutilation. Do you think they have circumcision here? Damn, they just straight out fucking EO banned. All minor drugs for anything, puberty blockers or any of that bullshit. It must be just for, you could still prescribe them for other things though, right? Restoring the death penalty and protecting public safety. Jesus, damn, Trump was busy. Okay. All right, a couple more things. Oh, God. This is going to be painful, that Jon Stewart thing, isn't it?
BB Hell.
BBL.
No, BB Hell. Hell, like raising hell in these streets. I got some work done, but I'm still, yeah.
Okay, BB Hell. I never heard no name like that.
Yeah.
Let's hear what you got, player.
Pop, pop, pop. Pop, pop, pop.
Okay. I'm good. Let's see. Trump signs. Are you going to watch the second Sam Hyde video? I might tomorrow, yeah. Depending on how my voice feels. Hopefully I'm getting better and not worse. Trump signs 4 more executive orders directed to the military. The first one reinstates members of the military who were terminated or forced to separate because of the vaccine mandates. I don't understand what that means. Aren't you mandated to get a fuck ton of vaccines going into the military? Is this just like they just don't mandate that? Like if you refused any of your vaccines during basic training, wouldn't they just kick you out? You just wouldn't survive basic, no? Just such a weird thing to me. Whatever, I don't, okay. The second item was an executive order establishing a process to develop what we're calling an American Iron Dome, a comprehensive missile defense shield. Okay, we need an EO for that? Okay. The third executive order that President Trump signed relates to eliminating gender radicalism in the military. And the fourth is about eliminating DEI set-asides and DEA offices within the military. Okay.